Hey everybody, Chef Britt here with atbbq.com, and today we are making bacon fat flour tortillas. Making tortillas is a lot simpler than you may imagine, so I'm going to show you just how easy it is, how little kneading you actually need to do, and kind of how versatile you can get with the ingredients. So let's hop in. So the ingredients are very simple. We're just going to be using some unbleached all-purpose flour. We're going to be using some great kosher sea salt. Today I'm going to be using bacon fat. However, you can use duck fat or beef tallow or any kind of fat you prefer. And of course, we're going to need some water. So this water is as hot as it can get out of the tap, so about 120 degrees. The first thing I want to do is melt my fat in there. So I'm going to get about a half cup's worth. Keep adding till I'm right at that level. Okay, so I'm just going to stir this around to melt that fat. And then to my 4 cups or 600 grams of flour, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon or about 10 grams of my kosher sea salt. I'll just get that a little dispersed in there, and then we're going to add all of our liquid ingredients at once. All right, and I'm just going to mix this until it just comes together. We're looking for no dry patches and a more sort of homogeneous texture. It smells smoky and porky already. Now once we get to this sort of shaggy mess, I like to get my hands in there and sort of pick everything up off of the sides of the bowl. All right, so if you give this a look right now, it's pretty underdeveloped. It falls apart pretty easily, and that's okay because we are going to perform what's called an auto-lease. So let me get this covered. So an auto-lease is where you would let the dough rest. This allows the flour to accumulate hydration, and the hydration is what activates the gluten bonds. So by doing this, it's going to develop its own gluten without me having to do anything. So I'm just going to wait 10 minutes and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so our 10 minutes has elapsed. Let's just see what happens. On the surface, not much, but if I'm to pick it up, it actually comes with some stretch. I can actually pull it pretty long. So I'm just going to knead it a few times. We're going to start smoothing out this dough. I'm not going to give it a ton of kneading, because I'm going to give it another 10 minutes of auto-lease, and then we'll really see just how smooth and developed this dough can get with not a lot of involvement. All right, we'll cover it back up and give it another 10 minutes. All right, let's check it out. 10 more minutes has gone by, and it feels pretty supple and smooth. So now we're just going to get it really pillowy and soft by just giving it a few kneads. It really doesn't take much. It feels really wonderful. So from here, we're going to allow the dough to rest some more, and that's just to let those gluten strands kind of really form strong bonds, and just so that it's easier to work with later on. So about 30-40 minutes. After that, we're going to portion out our rounds, bench rest a little further, so then we can have the dough relaxed enough to where we can roll it out really thin. So our dough is rested. Now we're going to move on to the portioning aspect, which I've got some tools that I really like using for this aspect. So a scale is the most handy part. You can be the most precise with what size of tortilla you want. The dough cutter, great for handling. The rolling pin, ever essential to get that really thin tortilla. And then I've just got a little bench duster here, and you can use a pastry brush if you prefer. All right, so to scale, I'm going to go ahead and do 50-gram portions. It makes it a really nice sort of fajita size. If you wanted to go big and you wanted to do like giant burrito-sized ones, let's say, I would go as high as 120 grams, but of course you need a cooking surface that's big enough to accommodate that, so keep that in mind. And then if you wanted, you could do cute little taco-sized ones, maybe about 35 grams for a little street taco. And we are just going to round these out and get them on our sheet pan to rest for about 15 minutes. Once these are all rounded out, I'll get my cast iron pan preheated, and then we'll get ready to roll them out. Who's knocking around over there? And you'll want to keep those covered while they rest. So on a well-floured surface, we're going to start rolling these bad boys out. I'm going to make sure to sort of roll out in every direction so I can get a more circular end product. And you can stretch these by hands, but really to get as thin as you want, doing it with a rolling pin is the best. All right, I'll dust off that extra. I just really hate the texture of raw flour. So that's why we are dusting this off. All right, we're gonna go straight into the skillet. So we are rolling on a very medium heat, somewhere between 350 to maybe a little over 400 is a good range. So right now I'm clocking at about 375. And these bake up in no time. Within about 10 seconds, you'll see all the fat that's starting to melt and make it more translucent. And eventually, some air pockets should show up and sort of inflate. All right, let's see how they look. I think my skillet needs to get a little hotter. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds on that side. Beautiful. You don't want to get a lot of color, just a little bit of browning is great. That way you can add more color later on if you wanted to make something more fried or pressed. We'll just keep it warm and go roll out some more. All right, so I'm sure some of you who know about tortillas probably are wondering why I decided not to use baking soda. Well, I just kind of like a denser, chewier tortilla, so omitting that baking powder is what I decided to do. I mean, it's super simple. I love the bacon fat flavor coming through. I think duck fat is probably my second favorite, but I know everybody's cooking a lot of bacon and usually saves their grease. This is just a great way to use up that grease and bring more flavor into your everyday staples. So word on the street is Tom is making some carne asada burritos for a video, and so I thought, what better an opportunity than to make him some burrito-sized tortillas. So look forward to that next week. If you guys want to see more recipes, tips, and techniques, head on over to atbbq.com/thesauce. And if you need some of these tools that we used today, head on over to atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.